This is my 2008 BMW 118d. The car that cost me £200 from Facebook Marketplace. In the past month, this has been the start of a TikTok series with over 1.5 million views. With this car, I want to M57 swap it, which means taking out the entire engine on my driveway, which I have never done before. This is a series of me engine swapping a car that's been stood for over a month on my driveway with no prior experience. It's going to be a long road with a lot of uncertainties and a lot of learning curves, but there's only one way to start off a project like this. Which leads me back to here. A 118d ready for my M57 swap. So I ain't got anything special. All I've got is like a basic ratchet set, basic sockets, a cheap electric ratchet, which is more of a you might come off, you might not, who knows. A Milwaukee one. This is more of a you coming off whether you like it or not. Pack of gloves and hopes and dreams. That's what I'm running off for this first stage. So it's either going to work or it ain't, isn't it? It's got two choices. So yeah. So to basically cover what I want to do on this video, and that is to get rid of the fluids. So I want to get rid of the engine oil and I want to get rid of the coolant, just so that if I pull any pipes off, the risk of getting anything anywhere else is going to be quite small. Because the last thing I want to be doing is trying to clean it all up off the floor, you know what I mean? So we're going to try and jack up the car. I'm hoping it's got a centre jack in the middle. I didn't see one the other day, because if it hasn't, it's going to make my job a lot harder considering there's a load of stones. I don't fancy doing that, you know what I mean? So we're going to try and jack it up, get it up on jack stands, and then we'll go from there and see what we're doing. Right, there's no way you're watching me for the next 5 minutes try and struggle to jack this up, so if future Dan, could you put this into a time lapse please, pal? And we'll go from there, because there's going to be a few explicits, I think. Now I know I said I was doing the liquids and removing all them, but I've changed my mind. Cheers Liam for the flask as well, by the way, big Liam on TikTok. Give him a big shout out, because yeah, he's an absolute nose. You're welcome. But yeah, I know I said I was going to get rid of all the fluids, but what I want to start doing is I want to start getting rid of some of the panels from the top, like the airbox, remove that. This panel here, I want to remove that. Get the engine cover out of the way, and anything that's really going to be in my way for doing the next lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to crack on doing that, and let's get into it. Now, one thing I've noticed is I've just taken the turbo pipe off from the intake, and you can see all the oil in there, and it is absolutely dripping out of the turbo. So I would not be surprised if that was one of the reasons why this car was kicking out a lot of white smoke, because it was just burning its own oil. And looking at that turbo, there is a little bit of play in the turbo. Only a little bit, but there is a bit of play in the turbo. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the reasons why it was white smoking. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the turbo, and you can see how much oil is in the turbo. And yeah, that's probably why we're kicking out quite a lot of white smoke, because there is a lot of oil in that turbo. But as you can see, I've removed the airbox, I've removed the pipe to the turbo, which is all down here. So I've got the pipe from the turbo, I've got the breather hose, crankcase breather hose, if I can actually speak and spit my words out from my fake teeth. And that is absolutely covered in oil as well. So there's definitely more than just bad servicing going on here. I've removed the top panel and I've also removed the airbox as well, with the air filter in it. Now one thing I have just noticed as well, inside the crankcase breather hose, the amount of sludge in there is actually unreal. It's everywhere. That is insane. I know there should be oil in there, man, but I've just had to push my finger through that and it was like a brick wall. I mean, EGR's also leaking. That's gone. You can see all the oil coming out the turbo, so no wonder this car was mashed. I mean, the belt, that's seen better days. That's going to probably come off at any stage. So yeah, it's not doing the greatest. Now one thing I did forget to do, and that is to disconnect the battery, because I'm messing around with all this electrical stuff and completely forgot that this needs to come off. So let's get that off and then I'll come back to you, because it's been a pain in the arse. Right, so I've got it disconnected and I've just chucked it on the side. It's not on any metal, and it's definitely not on the actual point. So we should be alright now to crack on with any electrical work and not have to worry about a short. Right, so the next bit I want to do, I want to get rid of all the oil, get rid of all the coolant out of it, and I want to take this bumper off, as well as this crash bar, lights, and the under trays. I need to do the under trays first. I don't need to do it to get rid of the oil, but I do want to get rid of the under trays just because you need to do it, you know what I mean? So we'll crack on with the under trays. I'll try and show you what I can, but there's not much room under there for a big guy like me and a Camry, you know what I mean? So let's crack on with that and then we'll go from there. Now one thing I have wanted to do, and this is something that I would advise you lot to do, and that's get some plastic bags like these and a pen, and then just literally write where all your bolts are coming from, because when it comes back to refitting everything, you don't want to be looking at like a big load of bolts and going, oh yeah, where's that one go, where's this one go, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to write on this one for under tray, and then that way once the under tray is off I can put them all in that, and then I'll know where they've all come from. And that under tray has 8mm bolts, so you're going to need a little socket, 8mm socket. For me I need an extension because I'm going to use the cheap little ratchet. Make sure it's spinning the right way, and that should be good to go for the under tray bolts. Now as I say, I was going to film what I can, but as you can see, all these have 8mm bolts. One there, about 7,000 going down there. You've got more here, more here, more here. You've got some at the back. You got one there, you got one there, you got one there. You've got them pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to try my best to do what I can to show you, but like I say, there's only so much room I've got, being a big lad under a car, you know what I mean? So right, so the under tray is off, and you can see all that oil that came out of the turbo when I took that pipe off. And you can now see the underside of the car. Now, like I said, I didn't need to do this to get rid of the oil, but when I'm taking stuff off like the brackets here, you need to get to it all to be able to remove the crash bar. I've removed it all, and you can see now why I say that BMWs have about 1,000 under tray bolts and why you should bag them up and why it's a good idea. So let's get this pulled out. We'll get the oil pan, and then we'll get to this sump plug which is back there, which is actually, if I can point to it, there. It actually looks like it's leaking a little bit. Shocker. It's a BMW in it. Of course it's going to leak. But yeah, let's get this out, get everything else done, and then we'll start draining the oil out of it. Tell you what, Come on, mate, Penel. So the under tray's out, and then we want to get all these bolts that I've undone. Well, I say bolts, they're more like screws. You can just see how many there actually are. There's absolutely loads. No wonder everyone hates taking under trays off of BMWs, because there's just no need for it, man. Like, Jesus. And now we're going to get that bag, the one that I showed you, the under tray bolts, and actually put these in there, and then that way, when we come back to doing it, he says, chuck some all over the floor. Then when we come back to doing it, we're not going to wonder where all these have come from. Because I don't know about you, every time I do a project on a car, I always have a couple bolts left. So stick them in that bag, and then I can go at car. We're done with that one. But yeah, let's get the oil pan out, and we'll start draining the oil and seeing what that's like. Right, I'm not going to pretend that it hasn't just taken me about 6 months just to try and get a camera angle so that you can see this. But we've got the oil drain pan, and you want a 17mm socket, and that is all you're going to need to get this drain plug out. Now I've got a load of blue roll on the side because I just know that this is going to go everywhere, and I just hope it doesn't get on my phone. Because recently, I don't know if you've seen, but on TikTok I actually did a series on this car and the oil was non-existent, so I put a load new in. So this is going to be absolutely full, and it's still absolutely thick as oat. Now you wouldn't think that that is brand new oil. I mean, that is that's brand new oil, believe it or not. And that was changed, what, about a month ago, and this car hasn't run since then. It's just been sat here, and it's still that dark. But that's probably another reason why this car didn't run so well. Well, I know it's one of the reasons why the car didn't run so well, because the whole car was starving of oil. It didn't have any. Turbo didn't have any. The car didn't have any. And they wondered why it wouldn't start on the side of the road in Leicester or wherever it was. So, yeah. Right, we're going to wait till this is fully leaked and all gone, and then I'll come back and we'll go from there and clean it up. I'm just going to put that oil drain plug there and hope it doesn't go into oil, because if it does, then I ain't going to be too happy. Right, that's pretty much where it's going to have to be, because the wind's getting up a little bit and I don't want it to splash everywhere. But there's not really going to be much more oil coming out of that, I don't think. I mean, obviously there's going to be a bit more when I take the engine out and stuff, but I think to this point, draining that much will suffice. So try and get this in now without it going all the way up my arm. Oh, perfect. Like a glove. Not too bad, actually. Not made a mess of this for once. Normally I make a mess of it. Oh. I'm just going to get my ratchet and then just tighten that back up. It only needs to be hand tight, so all these DIY mechanics or whatever, like myself, it doesn't need to be cranked to 1,000,000 Newton meters, just hand tight. Remember that not all of us are cowboys. Yeah. Right, now this is done, we'll get this out of the way and then we'll crack on with the coolant. Now I thought doing the coolant was going to be easy, so I've got a couple of these on the side ready to go to drain all the coolant into, but apparently it's not that easy as I thought. Now I've just come under the car and removed those two brackets that I told you about. The ones that I said, oh, you need to remove them. Remove the under tray underneath it, and I thought underneath here there was going to be a little latch that you could undo to release all the coolant from the rad. But Apparently not, because from what I can see, must, unless I'm being stupid, there is no area to release any of the coolant. And I mean, I've even gone underneath and there's nothing. So I think what we're going to have to do is basically go up top and release one of the pipes that are underneath here, and then just let it drain down, and try and catch as much of it as I can. I mean, it's not going to be pretty, it's going to be messy, but I just can't see anything there or under there that I thought you could just latch and it'll let the coolant out. So like I say, I'm still learning, so looks like we're just going to have to undo one of these pipes and let it just drain onto the floor, and I'll put the under tray back on, which is over there, put it here and just let it drain onto the floor, and then try and catch as much as we can. Now I know what you're thinking, oh, there's such an easier way of doing this. Well, I don't know what that easy way is, so feel free to rinse me in the comments, but I've put the under tray back under the car, and I've also put those under the car, and I've cut some little squares out of them to try and catch as much as I can, because what I'm thinking is this hose here is the one that's got the liquid in it, because I can hear it when I'm squeezing, you can hear it. So what I'm thinking is pulling this off of here and try and aim in those buckets down in that little gap there, and then hopefully I should catch as much as I can. Right, so I want to try and aim this underneath that little area as best I can, which I'm thinking is probably going to be around about there. Can I see that on there? Yeah, I can see that on there. And then trying to get this pipe off. Now, I don't know how, so I think I'm going to have to try and get a screwdriver into that little area, which will then release that clip off, and then I can take it off and aim it down and try and get as much of that out. I mean, I'm going to undo that for starters, so I can get as much out as I can, and then with that being off, should release some of the pressure, and then I can get that pipe off. So let me get a screwdriver and I'll be back in a second. Right, I've got a screwdriver, and there's a little clip there which I'm hoping I can get that into, which is looking like it's working, and basically enable me to pull that off. Oh, lovely. I forgot that there was oil all in the turbo. Splendid. Yep. And then it all just drops. Oh, we're still going. We're still going. Wow. I wasn't expecting that much. Oh, I say I wasn't expecting that much, but Jesus Christ. Safe to say there's quite a bit in there. Definitely quite a bit in there. I can definitely also say as well that did not work. My plan did not work. Why would it work? You know. Let's have a look at the damage it's done underneath. I mean, as you can see, I managed to get that pipe off, which is, if it'll focus, has finally got all that liquid out, and it's starting to ooze out of there as well. So if you come down here, you can see that my idea kind of worked. I mean, I cut a little bit, but yeah, it kind of worked. It kind of worked. Right, so it's pretty clear to see that there's no more of me getting under there until that's dried. So what I'm wanting to do next, and I'm going to time lapse this, and I know a lot of you want to see me do it, but there are plenty of videos out there on YouTube showing you how to do it, so I'm not going to go into detail, because me getting around there with a camera isn't going to be the one. So what I wanted to do is remove this bumper, and that will involve me going into the wheel arches, which is going to be a tight space around there anyway, as well as this side, and try and get this front bumper off so I can start looking at how to remove the front crash bar. So like I said, I'm going to put that in a time lapse, so don't come at me saying, oh, how do you do that, you should have shown that. It is what it is. Go find another video, because I don't want to be crawling underneath there with a camera, you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm going to stick this into a time lapse and try and get this off. So yeah, let's get into it. Now in typical BMW fashion, I'm having a lot of trouble with this because a lot of the bolts are rounded. This one up here, rounded, Torx. Ain't got a clue how I'm going to get that out, so I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time on that. There's bolts at the top which are also rounded, which is why I've been struggling so much. 2 bolts rounded on this side, rusted to hell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time off camera on this to get all the bolts off. I won't remove the bumper until it's back on camera, but I want to get all the bolts out and basically get it to a stage where I can just pull it off, so that I'm not boring you lot too much in regards to me just struggling to get one bolt out, you know. So once this is off, we'll come back and then we'll go from there. But for at the minute, I need to focus on getting these bolts out without having to worry about a camera and getting the right angles and filming every 2 seconds, you know what I mean. So yeah, I'll see you on the flip side. So I think we're ready to pull the bumper off after this little bit. So I've got all the bolts out of the wheel arch liner. As you can see, I've taken all the wheel arch liner out. All the bolts are now done out of there. That is also ready to come out. All these have come out, as well as the stripping. I'll come back to that in a second. This one again is all done on the inside. You can see that's all done. And then this one here that was stuck, what I've had to do is actually drill the inside of it with a drill and hammer in a thicker Torx bit and actually hammer it in, to which will then let me loosen it out. So once this is out, we should be able to remove the bumper, theoretically. Right, I've got the bolt out. That bolt is now fully out. I've taken the stripping off, and now we should be able to start removing this bumper. I mean, I could be doing something wrong here. Let me just get the screwdriver and try prising this out, because this to me looks like it's still stuck. Now there's not much really that I can do differently. I know that a couple of videos said you're better off prising this out, but I don't know. See, everything is ready to come out. The whole thing is kind of lifting, but I don't know if we need to remove. Sick, lovely. I don't know if we need to remove the lights first, so bear with me a second, because I'm just going to see if these lights need removing before we can remove this. Back in a sec. Right, so I've now figured out how to get this off, and I'm not really proud of what I've done. I've had to snap that off. Now this is where we learn from our mistakes and realise that if you look down here, right there is a Torx bolt that is basically holding the light onto the bumper. So not only have I snapped that and undone all these bits for the lights, there's also a hidden bolt right there that you need to undo to get all this off. So let's get that off, and then we should be able to take all this off. Right, so I've got this out. Not proud of how I got that out, don't ask. But this one I'm going to kind of show you, because it's not ideal. You do need to get a Torx behind it, and I mean, it's not ideal at all. There's a clip at the back which you could do with removing, but because BMW are so smart, they make it next to near impossible to even get to that. So you have to kind of, all I'm saying is just don't follow what I'm doing, because it's not going to end well for you. I'm kind of not bothered about this car because at the end of the day I'm going to be rebuilding it anyway. But there's like a little cable at the back. Pull all the clips off of that, get rid of that, and then I'm just pulling it forward again. Don't do what I'm doing because it's not going to end well for you. And just try your best to get that off. There's probably such an easy way of doing this, and as I've said, I am just a baby. I'm learning, and I love BMWs, but I hate how they engineer them because it's practically impossible. Got that plug off. Practically impossible to do what you want to do to it. And literally, you have to just baby it out. Literally, just baby it out. Because BMW don't like you working on cars, apparently. And I am going to show this whole process so you can see the amount of pain I have to go through just to get a light out, because this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, if anyone is watching and you're staring at the screen going, "That's not how you should do it," then please tell me how. Because this is very painful, probably for you to watch as well as for me to do. So feel free, by all means, to tell me how to do this properly. Out. And then this should just pop off there and be out, and that's one light out. But I didn't realise that there was a bracket behind. But this is a bit I was having an issue with. I don't know if you can see this bit. I turned the camera a little bit. But this here is like welded to it, and I've got rid of all the screws underneath. There are no more screws. So I just don't know. I really don't know, because this is confusing the crap out of me. So I've just done the other one, and this is the reason why. So this bracket here, and if you can see it, there's like a bracket with two thingies. This is getting in the way of those, and I don't care if this is breaking, but you have to literally pry it off. Oh well, only a £200 cart, but that is glued on there. There you go, look, and it's off. Someone had glued that before, that's why I was having issues. Now, as I've said, do not do what I just did under any circumstances. I did that purely because I was getting annoyed. I have very short anger management temper skills, you know what I mean. Shut up. Yeah, so don't do what I did. I literally did it just so I could get this off, but apparently now we have clips for the parking sensors, which shouldn't be an issue, except for the fact there's like a trillion spiders behind here. Again, if you see any of my rear end, mind your business. And the last one, and then one over here, because apparently I'm missing that one too. How the hell do you get that one out? Oh, squeeze them apparently. Mate, why does everything have to be so hard? I'm too fat for this. Hold up. I'll just pull this out. There we go. Aha, there's one on the other side. There is one on the other side. Do you know what? I hope all you lot love seeing my pain and suffering, because so oh my god, there's some right big spiders in this bad boy. Spider there, spider there. That one's got an SIA badge on it. Spider down there. Castor bug's life over there. Hold on, let me show you. We've got a spider there. We've got a spider there. We've got a spider there. Castor bug's life over here. Yeah, yeah. No, thank you. So this is it for this video. It may not have everything you want to see in it, but this is the first one. Now, this is my first video. I wanted to kind of take it easy on the editing side. I don't want to be editing an hour-long video because I am still using my phone, so I don't want to clog all my memory up. But we've got the bumper off, we've drained the oil, drained the coolant, we've got the intake off, well, intake box, we've got the intake pipe off the turbo, and we've got the lights out and the bumper off in a fashion. But yeah, if you want to see the next episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I will be carrying on with this. We are doing an M57 swap in my own way, which will probably end up in disaster, but who knows. But yeah, if you want to see more, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and don't forget, do not do anything I show you in this video, because it will end up in broken screws and broken latches, you know what I mean? So yeah, sound.